this video, we're going to continue on through activity 3.1.3, basic inputs programming using the VEX v5 testbed and VEX code v5. With part 3, we're going to be using the potentiometer, and we're going to be provided an example code to kind of work from, and then we're going to have to modify this code to do some other behaviors that we wish to see. So with this code, we're going to go ahead and we're going to build this and provide the comments. They even say refer, when it looks at the comments look different, that's all right as long as they get the point across of what each section of code deals with. So I'm going to go ahead and move into VEX code. We already have part 3 set up from our last video. I'm going to go ahead and grab a comment block, put in here. Part 3, using the potentiometer. Then they have a second block stating LED turns on when program starts. So I'm going to grab a turn an LED on or set LED on block there. We have another comment block, which what they're going to tell us is, so in the next section it says when the potentiometer moves to over 50%, LED turns off and left motor spins forward at 50%. So as I build this code, we're going to go ahead and utilize in control. We're going to grab a wait until statement to drop in there. This time we're going to need an operator, so in the green section. So we're going to go ahead and say whenever that's greater than 50%, I'm going to drop that in there. Notice it has the same shapes. And then I need to go up here to sensing with the potentiometer, and I'm going to go ahead and find that section here to where potentiometer sensing, grab this one and drop it into that first code. So now we're going to wait until the potentiometer, it has an angle measured in percentage, and when that's greater than 50%, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn that LED off, and then we're going to make sure that our motor velocity is set to 50% on the left motor. We're going to spin it forward. We're going to go ahead and wait for 3.5 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and stop the motor. And that will take care of our example code that we have. So let's go ahead and download, and let's see what we're getting from our code. Now, before we do that, before I run this code, I'm going to go ahead and take the screen off. I'm going to go back to the home screen, go to devices, and go to the 3-wire ones. Look at where my analog input is on A. I'm going to make sure that I'm set down to, right now I'm reading at 11 on the analog input for the potentiometer. And then that says that that's going to be all the way at 0 for us. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cover back on. I'm going to download, and we're going to go ahead and run the program. So the LED is going to turn on, so which normally does, but we make sure it's intentional. And then I'm going to turn my potentiometer till I get past 50%. You're going to see that LED turn off, and this left motor is going to turn on. And there's our intended behavior. Is once that potentiometer reaches past a certain point, it's turning off an LED and it's running a motor. So then that way that we can move forward on that. All right. So as we continue on through the activity, they want us to modify our program to include this to perform the pseudocode below. We want to verify that the potentiometer is at 0%. There's not a code block there. We just want to make sure that whatever direction we turned it at, that we turn it back to. We can do that off of the, again, we can take a look at the devices window. I'll stop this program. So we're verifying that it's a 0%, and we want to turn on the LED when we have the potentiometer that is at a value greater than 50%, and then turn off the LED, and then turn on the left motor at half power until the potentiometer is at a value of less than 50%. So this is very similar to the code that we have, but we're going to make some slight modifications. So here we're going to go through and make sure the LED turns on. Then we're going to go ahead and make sure that when we're working with this, it's going to be, again, we're going to wait until the potentiometer reads greater than 50%. Set our LED to turn off. We're going to set our velocity to 50%. Spin the left motor forward. Then we're going to wait for a second. So usually they want us to kind of do that. I'm going to separate these blocks. So the first part looks pretty good. Whoops, let me go ahead and hit undo here. We need that block back. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our wait statement here. We're going to go ahead and set this to 1 second. And then we're going to go ahead and say wait until. So I'm going to grab out of the control section a wait until block. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that here in the pseudocode it says that when we're going to run it until at half power until the potentiometer is at a value of less than 50%. So this is in our operator here. I'm going to go to green. We're going to grab the less than 50%, and we need to grab the potentiometer in the sensing section. So the potentiometer setting to be able to read what angle that it's in. Then what we're going to do is we're going to stop the motor. So there we can go through. Really the only thing that changed was at the end of this code. So when the potentiometer moves over 50%, LED turns on and the motor spins forward at 50% until it, so in here I get into a code or a character limit. So it might be beneficial to throw in another comment block, and after the wait until, we could say that motor runs while potentiometer is over 50%, but when it is less than, it will stop. So there could be another comment that we throw into this program. Alright, so here is our program that we have. We're going to see if we get the intended behaviors. Let's download. Let's go and hit run. So there's our LED. So we're going to go ahead and turn this so that way it goes above 50%. So the motor's going to turn on. So even if I go all the way up to 100%, that motor is going to continue to run. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to back this back down so that way it goes below 50%. And now the motor's going to stop. So we kind of utilize these wait statements to get us into certain sections of code. So this will wrap up part 3 for activity 3.1.3, basic inputs programming and using the potentiometer.